Hello and welcome to the University of Puget Sound Study Abroad Financial Details Workshop. I'm starting here with this beautiful picture of this castle because I remember back to when I was in college and the idea of studying abroad sort of seemed like a castle in the sky. I just didn't think it was going to be a financial reality for me. But as I dug in and figured out how financial aid was going to work, I did make it work. And I want to help you to see how you can make it work. And indeed, this picture was taken by a University of Puget Sound student who studied abroad in Germany. This is a castle in Germany that she went to see. And so we'll just jump right in, and hopefully this workshop will help you to figure out what the actual reality would be for you if you did choose to study abroad. There are three buckets that I like to talk about in terms of what you need to figure out financially around costs for study abroad. There's what you will owe to Puget Sound, there's what you potentially could owe to a program, and then there's the other things that you need to budget for that nobody else is charging you for, but things like an airline ticket and things like that that you may need to purchase to make study abroad a reality. So we'll be going through a budget planning worksheet in some detail. I'll show you where to find a copy of this, and then I'll actually walk you through how I would fill this out for a sample student. But first, I just want to take a minute to talk through how study abroad finances work at University of Puget Sound. If you've watched our first steps video, then this is familiar information, but hopefully you may be at the point where you're sharing this information with others, or maybe you just need a refresher, so I'll walk through quickly. If you are studying abroad for a semester, and I'll come to the summer in just a moment, if you're going abroad for a semester, you will remain a Puget Sound student the whole time you're abroad. You'll be getting Puget Sound credits that will show up on your Puget Sound transcript. And so you're still billed as if you were a Puget Sound student. So you will be billed for the semester's tuition. You will be billed for Puget Sound double room fee if your program includes housing. And indeed, almost all of our programs include housing. There are a couple of programs in Budapest that do not. So if you're going to Budapest, we'll have a separate conversation, but assume you would be charged the double room fee. You will still be charged the ASUPS fee, or the student government fee, and that's according to the charter with ASUPS. All enrolled students, which you will be one, are still paying the ASUPS fee while they are enrolled. You may be charged for a meal plan or for board, and that will depend on what sort of meals are included in your program, if any are included. And as I go through the budget worksheet, I'll share with you how to find that out about your program. And of course, you're always welcome to work with one of us specifically to get that, and all of our contact information will be at the end as well. The fifth line item that might appear on your Puget Sound bill for the semester you're abroad, that will appear, is the study abroad program fee. Various programs that are approved by Puget Sound have different fees. There are most of the programs are in the $300 or $1,200 category. There are a few very expensive programs that fall into that $2,400 program fee category. So when you look at all of that, you may be saying to yourself, oh my goodness, but I've looked at programs and I see that they also have tuition and room and board. You are not going to be paying both. You're paying tuition, room, and board and the program fee to Puget Sound, and we are then paying those items to the program that you are approved to do abroad. The only thing that we would ask you to pay to the program upfront is a deposit. Most programs, if you are accepted, will say, we'd love to have you on the program. Now, please pay us a $300 or $500 deposit to hold your spot on the program. We will ask you to pay that deposit, and then we will discount that from your semester tuition. So you're in essence prepaying part of your semester abroad tuition when you pay that program deposit. The great news is that if you're studying abroad for a semester, all of your normal financial aid will apply to the semester. So merit aid, need-based aid, any private grants that are processed through Puget Sound, all of those will still, all of your loans, those will still be applied to your study abroad semester bill from Puget Sound. The one exception is work study. We cannot employ you as a university while you're outside of Washington State. And therefore, if you do have a work study award as part of your financial aid package for the semester you're abroad, that would most likely be converted to an additional loan for that one semester. And then you will return to campus the following year or the following semester, and again be awarded a work study as long as nothing else has changed in your FAFSA. Of course, there are things that we are not going to charge you for, or that your program is not going to charge you for, that you still need to budget for. And so I'm going to talk you through about where to find information on how much to budget for these and how you might be able to pay for some of them. If you plan to study abroad for a summer, you will still be billed by Puget Sound, but instead of billing you by number of units for tuition, as we normally would do in the summer if you were taking classes on campus, it's a little more specific to the individual programs. Each program has its program costs. And then on top of those program costs, we charge for summer programs a $500 program fee. So the semester, there are different program fee levels. In the summer, all summer programs have a $500 program fee. Now, given that you typically have no financial aid award for the summer, there is no financial aid to follow you to a semester, or excuse me, to a summer study abroad program. You can, if your program is at least two units are going to be on your transcript from your summer program, and that might be interpreted as 8 semester credits. If you're looking at the program website, most programs express the number of credits you'll be receiving in semester credits, and 4 semester credits is equal to 1 Puget Sound unit. So if your program is at least 8 semester credits, or the equivalent of 2 Puget Sound units, you can borrow up to a third of your loans towards the summer. That, of course, then reduces the amount of loans that you have available for the subsequent 2 semesters, but that might work out best for you. And at this time, we don't have any Puget Sound scholarships or grants specific to summer study abroad, but I will be talking about scholarships and encouraging you to look at ways that scholarships could help you fund a semester, or excuse me, a summer abroad. So let's dive into a budget worksheet. I'm going to end this presentation for just a moment and go into the study abroad website. And so this is on the Puget Sound website. If you just go to study, you can search for study abroad, go to applying for abroad, and then look here at finances and scholarships. Now, when you navigate to this website, it may look a little bit different because we've been changing up some pictures and things like that. But what you're looking for is this finance and scholarships page. You can, if you want to go to this study abroad cost and aid, that's a description of how you would be billed for the semester or summer abroad. And then here are a summer budget planning worksheet and a semester budget planning worksheet, and we'll come back to that in just a minute. But I want to point out that there is a list of scholarships here that I highly encourage you to look at in order to see where there's funding available and what levels of funding might be available to help you with your study abroad costs. So something, for example, like the Gilman Scholarship. This is a scholarship specific to people who receive Pell Grants, but it does fund up to $5,000 per semester. And so it's a significant scholarship. We've had students get this almost every single semester, and it's highly worth the time it would take to apply for that. There are other scholarships that take almost nothing at all. This first trip, which can award up to a $1,500 scholarship, is a simple, form that you fill out online. So it's worth taking the time to look through this. And then there are other scholarships that you can find in a much larger database at goabroad.com. So I encourage you to spend some time exploring scholarships and to then download this budget planning worksheet. And I am going to show you where to find some of the details in order to fill this out. So if you go back to the Study Abroad web page and go to applying for study abroad and go down to explore programs, and we're going to look at the Puget Sound programs. It's a 2-click to get to that one. So here we are in the Puget Sound program search. If you have never logged into this page before, it may actually open to this screen, in which case you would just go to search programs. I'm going to clear my previous search there. And the sample student that I'm talking about is choosing to go to Japan. So we're going to look at Japan, apply that search. And the student that I've been working with is thinking of going to Tokyo Language and Culture, run by an organization called IES. And so if you click on this, it will open a page that has fairly limited information, But one of the key pieces of information that you want to take note of here is what is the Puget Sound program fee going to be for this program? So I mentioned there's $300, $1,200, and $2,400 categories, and this program falls into that $1,200 category. Then we're going to navigate out to that program URL. And so that will open the actual study abroad program web page. And each program with each provider, the website's going to look a little bit different. But someplace on the program webpage, they're going to have some information about costs, or it may, the tab may say tuition, or it could be on a right-hand menu or a left-hand menu. So you may need a little bit of help navigating. Again, we are absolutely available to help you find this detailed information. So on the IES webpage, when you navigate to the costs, it will give you an overview. But remember that these numbers here are somewhat meaningless to you because you're not paying IES tuition, you're paying Puget Sound tuition. You're not paying IES's housing fee, you're paying Puget Sound's double room fee. And indeed, if you happen to be looking at an IES program, Puget Sound will also pay this insurance fee on your behalf. So we need more details than just this basic information. On the IES website, they have more price breakdown under this tab. And for this example, we're just going to assume that the student wants to go abroad in fall of 2020. So we're going to click there. On other websites, again, it may say more information or additional fees, etc. In a separate tab. It might open a new window. On the IES website, clicking on that total number will actually open up this much more detailed price breakdown. So again, you do not need to worry about the IES tuition. That's going to be paid for you because you're paying Puget Sound tuition. You do want to make note, though, however, of is housing included? And indeed, housing is included on this program. So the amount you're paying for housing is sort of immaterial because we're going to charge you for a double room fee because the housing is included. But on this program, it's worth noting that there are 3 different housing options. And so this student that I'm working with is going to choose an apartment, and that says no meals provided. So just remember that when we get back to the budget worksheet, I'll show you how I dealt with that on the budget worksheet. There's some additional information here for special options. Again, this student is not choosing a dormitory or homestay, so that student doesn't need to worry about that. If you are looking at an IES program, you'll notice that they have this thing called a School of Record transcript, if required. For Puget Sound students, this is absolutely not required, so you do not need to worry about that $375. That's not going to be something that you will have to pay. This is where we get into some information that's incredibly helpful for you, though. These are things that you may need to budget for, and this is where I referred to get a lot of the information that I'm going to show you on the budget planning worksheet that we're going to fill out in just a moment. So for example, they give an idea of what round trip airfare may cost you. They give you an idea of what textbooks, they're saying you should budget for about $310 for textbooks. Here's a really big important one. Average cost of meals not included in the IES abroad housing and meals. So again, because this student is selecting the apartment and there are no meals included, Puget Sound is not going to charge this student for a meal plan because they're not going to be given any meals while they're there. But this student absolutely still needs to budget for meals. And so this is an idea of IES is saying, if you're going to live in an apartment, you should budget $3,210 for your meals. So I am going to stop sharing that, and I will go back to our PowerPoint presentation. And we are going to go into a budget planning worksheet. So I hope that you are able to see this on your screen. I know it is relatively small. This is based on the 2021 tuition and fees. So I know that that's not incredibly helpful because you're looking at a future semester, but I don't yet, at the time I'm recording this, have the fees and tuition amounts that are going to be charged for 21-22. And so this is going to be an estimate, and that's the best we can do right now. So again, the student is going to IES Tokyo for the fall. And this student is going to pay Puget Sound tuition for the semester of $26,760. They're going to pay the ASEPS fee. They are going to be housed throughout the entire semester in an apartment, and so they're going to get charged $3,615, which is the double room fee for the semester. But that housing option has no meals included, so Puget Sound is not going to charge them a meal plan. That program, if you will remember, was in the $1,200 fee category, and so that's what we put here. So this line here, A, $31,715, is what Puget Sound is going to bill to Mr. Sam's student for the semester he's planning to study abroad. But that's not what he's going to actually owe to Puget Sound, because of course then to the bill, financial aid is credited. And so in this particular student, I've just taken a round number to give an example. All of these details are going to vary by student, and each student can go and meet with their financial aid advisor in Student Financial Services, and I'll provide their contact information at the end, to find out exactly how much would be credited towards this $31,000. In this student's case, we're going to say they have a relatively low EFC, high needs student. They're going to receive a total of $20,000 of financial aid for the semester. Then we want to look at what are any other credits beyond just the financial aid that might get applied to the study abroad bill. I keep mentioning scholarships. One thing I haven't talked about yet is that the programs themselves often offer scholarships. And so this student was wise and applied to IES, their program provider, for a scholarship. And indeed, they were granted a $1,500 scholarship from their program. They also paid a $500 deposit to the program at the time that they were accepted into the program. And so between the scholarship that they've been granted by the program and the $500 that they've already prepaid, they're going to receive a further $2,000 credit on their program, on their Puget Sound tuition and fees bill for the semester. So your estimated Puget Sound bill, what you will actually owe, is taking A minus B minus C. And so in this student's case, they are going to owe Puget Sound $9,715 for the semester that they're studying abroad. Excuse me. The second bucket then that we want to talk about is what, if anything, might the student owe to the program? And so this is anything that isn't tuition, isn't fees. And I apologize, I didn't highlight this when we were looking at the IES website, but on this program, for example, there is an optional excursion, that was $255. So this student is thinking ahead and is like, yeah, I'm gonna wanna do that excursion. That's not something that Puget Sound will cover the cost of, but something you're more than welcome to do. But this student knows okay, there's $255 that I'm going to need to spend on that. And there was an additional $105 or whatever the difference is here, that IES cost sheet indicated the student would owe when they arrive for, I believe, a local books fee or something like that. So they know that they're going to owe $405 to the program once they arrive in Japan between that excursion and the local fee that they're going to have to pay. They also know that they've already paid the $500 to the program. Again, that was credit up here. So here's where you're actually taking it out of your pocket. So there's another $905 coming out of your pocket there that's going to be paid to IES. And then we want to look at what are the other out-of-pocket expenses. And so this first line item here, the standard estimated indirect costs, is something we've plugged in here, but you are welcome to cross this out and put in your own number. We're looking at sort of an average cost of things like books, local transportation, personal expenses. In some places, this number might be lower, in some it might be higher. Back on the IES program cost sheet, they were indicating that for Tokyo, personal expenses alone might be over $2,000. So you might want to adjust this number, but it gives you a good starting point, and we're working on estimates here, so this is a fair number to include. For international travel, IES gave an indication of what the potential costs could be. I also went to Google Flights and just searched for flights for the time frame that the student is planning to go abroad. And in fact, on Google Flights, the flight cost from Seattle to Tokyo round trip was looking more like $775, but I went ahead and included $855, which was the minimum amount that IES was estimating the flight might cost. This student has a passport. If you do not have a passport, that's an expense that you're going to need to consider. This student has a passport, but they realize that it's about to expire, so they're going to need to renew. And I highly encourage you to check. If you do have a passport already, go ahead and check that and make sure you're not going to also need to renew, because it is a cost. That's $110 to renew your passport. Visa can also be something that can be a significant expense. In this student's case, for study in Japan for a semester, the student does not have to apply for a special visa. They will be granted a visa when they arrive in country, and there will be no cost. If you were planning to study abroad in France or in Italy, the expense can add up, because not only do you have to apply and pay an application fee for your visa, you also have to travel to San Francisco to apply in person and receive the visa in your passport. So this is something that we can help you to determine what your costs might be for a potential visa. Things like a cell phone, maybe getting a SIM card, you're going to want to budget for those types of things. We always recommend budgeting to have some emergency cash on hand. And here's where, as I noted on the IES sheet, they had made an estimate of $3,210 for the meals that would not be included in the program. Housing is fully included in this program, so nothing. And this student is deciding, you know what, I'm already going to do that optional excursion that I'm paying IES for here, so I'm not going to plan on doing any other additional travel, because I don't think I have a lot of extra money to do those things. I think I'm going to be satisfied with what I've got going on already. But if you're planning on doing extensive travel, or if you think of other expenses, be sure you're budgeting for those there. So this student is going to need to come up with roughly another $7,000 of other expenses that they need to think about. Now, this wise student took the time to look through our list of scholarships and found they found 3 different scholarships that they applied for, and they actually got funded by 2 of them. They applied and were granted a Freeman Asia scholarship for $5,000 and a bridging scholarship for study in Japan for another $2,500. So they've got $7,500 worth of funding that is going to come to them directly. Many of the scholarships are paid directly to the student. So that's going to help them pay for all of their out-of-pocket expenses and potentially a little bit of one of these bills. So at the end of the day, this student's financial outlay out of pocket is going to be D, that was back up here, what the student's really going to owe to Puget Sound, plus E, what they're going to owe to their program, plus F, all those other expenses, that third bucket, minus any outside scholarships they're going to get. So at the end of the day, study abroad is going to cost this student $10,108. Which hopefully, in this student's case, that's actually not much more than a normal semester at Puget Sound, even taking into account the flights and things like that, because they took the time to apply for these outside scholarships. If you want to really see how different is it, the cost of study abroad and the cost of just being on campus for a semester, that line here, this total estimated study abroad expenses, you can take way back up at the top, line A, what are you actually charged for by Puget Sound, not taking out your financial aid, or excuse me, just the line items that you're charged for, but not attributing any financial aid to that, plus what you would owe to the program, plus your out-of-pocket expenses. This student's total cost without any of the funding attributed to it yet would be $39,608. And you can compare that to this a normal semester on campus, which would include tuition, ASUPS fee, room, board, books, out-of-state transportation, and personal expenses, would normally be $3,508.03. So this student could say roughly, the relative cost of study abroad versus being on campus is like $4,000 more. So I hope that helps to sort of go over how you can also estimate exactly what your costs would be. Encourage you to really take the time to explore the scholarships and apply for some of those, because they can make a huge difference in helping fund some of those out-of-pocket expenses. So again, here's the link to the budget worksheet and the scholarships. Any of the 3 of us in our office would be happy to meet with you individually to talk through your specific circumstances and your program costs and all of that. Roy Robinson is our director. You can make an appointment in his calendar or email him. My name's Aylin Greeno. You can find me here, and Carmen Asatia is our study abroad coordinator. And then finally, Student Financial Services, Frank McNeely, who's the Senior Financial Aid Counselor, would be happy to talk through with you that bucket that right under the what will you be charged by Puget Sound. He can help you fill out that section of the budget worksheet that's about your financial aid. So please do not hesitate to reach out to any of us. We would do anything we can to help make study abroad affordable for you and help explain how the process works. Thanks and have a great day.